Could the Big 12 expand again, or is it all just a leverage play? It is officially week one of the college football season, but Big 12 conference realignment rumors are heating up again, this time with teams on the West Coast in Stanford and Cal. Hey, how's it going, everybody? I am RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. If you want to be a part and join an interactive Big 12 community, smash the sub button. Listen, the Big 12 football season is officially here, and we've got you covered all year long. Yes, there will be a ton of Texas Tech content here on the channel, but don't get it twisted. Every Friday, we will discuss everything you need to know about the Big 12, including odds, games of the week, and much, much more. So join one of the most interactive Big 12 communities here on YouTube and smash that subscribe button. All right, let's jump into the latest rumors as the San Francisco Chronicle this past weekend, well, they put the Big 12's name in their mouth. And let's just be honest about this. I'll give my opinion here a little later, but this is interesting and kind of feels like a leverage play. But let me tell you the news, and then you guys can make your own assumption or, feel how you want to feel about it. This weekend, the San Francisco Chronicle reported that both Stanford and Cal have begun looking into the possibility of joining the Big 12. They are reporting that if Stanford and Cal aren't invited to the ACC by the middle of next week, at the time of this recording, the week of August 28th, that their discussions with the Big 12 will get that much more serious. Michael Silver, one of the people reporting this for the San Francisco Chronicle, didn't stop there either. Silver also reported that Oregon State and Washington State would be joining them as well. Listen, this goes against everything that the Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark has said pretty recently, I might add, about how the Big 12 is going about currently anyway, potentially expanding and adding more teams to the conference, which now stands at 16 headed into next season. Remember this quote from Brett Yormark. This wasn't too long ago. It's at the bottom of your screen. Right now, we're done, Yormark said. We had a vision, we had a strategy, and effectively, we've been able to execute it. Initially, I wasn't sure if we'd go to 14 or 16. I think 16 was kind of the dream scenario, candidly, Yormark said. Listen, I think when you look at everything, right, and the current landscape of how everything is going, and I'll get more into detail later on in the video, this just feels like leverage, right? Like they're trying to create leverage some sort of way. Is Stanford and Cal, whether that's, the ACC side of things, trying to join the Big Ten like Notre Dame wants them to, it kind of feels leveragey to me, right? And it's no coincidence this is coming out now because we will talk about Pete Thamel of ESPN in his report that said there is a soft date in terms of, hey, a deadline has to be made on this date for your decision, right? If you're Stanford and Cal or the ACC before Stanford and Cal goes out to look elsewhere. But before we get into that, I just want to hear from you guys on this front. Do you even want to see the Big 12 add Stanford and Cal? Just a simple Y for yes or N for no. Let me know down in the comments. I've heard some people before say that they don't, but hey, maybe things have changed. Let me know down in the comments with a simple Y for yes or N for no if you want the Big 12 to add Stanford and Cal. All right, moving on. When you look at everything in terms of where this stands, right, and again, we're jumping into the ACC front of things right now when it comes to Stanford and Cal. The conference reportedly met to discuss adding Cal, Stanford, and SMU. Remember, you had Condoleezza Rice, you had George Bush, the former president, really pushing for the ACC to add these two schools, technically three with Cal along with it, right? But ESPN's Pete Thamel recently reported that the middle of this week could be a soft deadline for the ACC to make a decision on these three schools. Now, if that rumor of the deadline comes and goes, it seems as though the Big 12 rumors for the remaining Pac-12 schools, and again, this would not just be Stanford and Cal, right? Remember what the San Francisco Chronicle said in Michael Silver. Oregon State and Washington State would tag along with them. So there would be 4 schools involved, and the Big 12 would go from 16 to 20 starting next year. I don't know how likely that is, but I must say this, right? There have also been rumors that ESPN has lobbied the Big 12 to add these two schools. What does that look like? I don't know. And to be honest, that hasn't been confirmed. That's been talked about on Twitter from people that have been really in the know when it comes to this conference realignment stuff and really had their boots on the ground, I guess is the term you'd want to use when it comes down to it. But again, when I look at everything, right, and I think to myself, does this actually happen? I personally have a hard time seeing this happen, right? Like, it feels like a potential leverage play for these three schools wanting to be added to the ACC, right? And I'm specifically talking about SMU, Stanford, and Cal. They're trying to generate some leverage here. And to their credit, good for them. There's always good to have leverage, and sometimes you can try and create it. But the key word there is try. I don't think the Big 12 is going to bite personally, but I think maybe if the price is right, maybe they go in, right? There is some value when it comes to Stanford and Cal. I'd be very interested to see if Oregon State does come along with them, and Washington State too, how that looks for the Big 12. But I also think at the same time, if the Big 12 is very serious about being coast to coast, there is some value there. You at least get on the West Coast in this scenario and not just a little state in. Shouldn't say little, California's pretty damn big, but you get on the actual coast itself, right? And then you can prioritize, if you're the Big 12, if the ACC bites the dust here in a couple of years, you can prioritize those Virginia schools, the Pittsburghs, Tobacco Row, whichever you want in terms of the ACC, right? And then you can go to 24, because I think when it's all said and done, that's where the Big 12 ends up. It's at 24 teams. Who's going to officially be a part of that? I'm not sure, but it feels like we're headed towards that three mega conference aspect of it, where it's clearly the SEC and Big 10, 1 and 2, and then the Big 12 is 3, right? And there's nothing wrong with being 3 in this scenario. You're still going to keep your athletic departments alive and well, right? So I wonder where it goes now. For me, it all comes down to price, right? And really what the vision of, most importantly, of Brett Yormark is long-term, the Big 12 commissioner. If he sees value in it, I'm all for it. This guy has not made a wrong step yet as the commissioner of the Big 12. In fact, he's pissed off an entire fan base down in Austin by 3 sentences. Pretty amazing to do. But in terms of the realignment aspect of things, he's been perfect. He's batting 1,000, and that's not up for debate when it comes down to it. So if he sees value in it, okay, maybe I get behind it. But personally, right now, I think this truly is just a leverage play by Stanford and Cal and somewhat SMU to maybe create a bit of leverage with the ACC to say, hey, there's another conference interested in us. You might as well give us an invite, right? Do I think it happens? No, but I do think that's where those schools are currently standing right now. All right, one more question before we get out of here. Scale of 1 to 10, how excited would you be if, keyword if, the Big 12 did add Stanford and Cal? Again, scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I'm not excited at all. This makes no sense, RC. 10 being this is a great move by Brett Yormark in the Big 12. Let me know down in the comments below. And one more time, join an interactive Big 12 community. We're keeping you up to date on everything Big 12 here weekly. On Fridays, we're going to cover every game going on in the Big 12, give you the best odds, the latest breaking news, and everything you need to know when it comes to, well, it's the Big 14, I guess, technically this year, and the next year, Big 16. Maybe a rebrand is on the way. In fact, it is if you listen to Brett Yormark. But right now, it's the Big 12. So if you want to stay in the know all year long on everything Big 12, smash that sub button and stay in the know right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.